Snow fell over the vast Montana plains like silent feathers from a gray December sky, blanketing the widowed rancher Ethan Cole's land in a stillness that felt too heavy for Christmas Eve. For 3 long years he had lived alone with his young daughter Mary. Ever since his wife passed during a bitter winter, much like this one, he worked the ranch from dawn till dusk, his hands rough, his heart harder still, numbed by grief he didn't dare touch. Mary was the only light left in his world, a gentle 12-year-old who still believed Christmas carried miracles. But Ethan no longer expected miracles, only cold winds, long nights, and memories that hurt more with time. As the sun dipped behind the mountains, Ethan and Mary prepared to bring in their horses from the storm when a soft, crunching sound came from the direction of the old cabin near the edge of the forest. Ethan froze, his hand instinctively hovering near the pistol at his hip, while Mary peered ahead with wide, curious eyes. And then, out of the swirling snow, a woman emerged, tall, proud, shivering beneath her buckskin clothing. Her dark braided hair fell over her shoulders, and her sharp, haunting eyes locked on Ethan as if she had been searching for him specifically. "Please," she said in a trembling voice that carried strength beneath exhaustion. "I need shelter for the night." Ethan stiffened, instinct battling compassion as he took in her appearance, an Apache woman alone in the dead of winter, far from any tribal lands, standing at his doorstep on Christmas Eve. He wasn't a man who turned away someone in need, but he had also lived long enough to know that trouble often came quietly, wrapped in mystery. Mary, however, stepped past him with innocent confidence. "We should help her, Pa," she whispered, tugging gently on his sleeve. And something in her voice, or perhaps something in the woman's eyes, something like desperation mixed with dignity, nudged Ethan's hardened heart. He finally gave a short nod. "Come inside," he said quietly. "Storm's only getting worse." Inside the cabin, warmed by the crackling fire, the woman wrapped her hands around a tin cup of heated broth. She introduced herself as Nayeli. Her voice was soft yet firm, each word careful and deliberate. Ethan didn't trust easily, but Mary seemed drawn to the stranger, sitting close and listening with fascination to every word. As the wind howled outside, Ethan sensed there was more to Nayeli's story, something she wasn't saying. "How far have you traveled?" he asked, attempting to sound casual, though suspicion edged his tone. Nayeli hesitated, eyes flickering toward the door as if expecting someone, or something, to appear. "Far enough," she murmured. "Mean no harm. I only seek shelter until morning." Ethan's jaw tightened, but Mary placed a hand on Nayeli's arm. "You can stay with us tonight," the girl insisted sweetly. Something softened in Nayeli's expression, though she offered only a faint smile. As evening settled, Mary persuaded Nayeli to tell them a story, and the woman shared a tale from her people of a winter spirit who guided the lost toward new beginnings. Her voice carried warmth that wrapped around the room like a second blanket. Ethan listened quietly, observing the way the woman's presence shifted the atmosphere from one of cold solitude to something almost comforting. When Mary eventually fell asleep, Ethan carefully carried her to her room and returned, to find Nayeli staring into the fire. "You're running from something," he said quietly. Nayeli didn't flinch, nor did she deny it. "Yes," her voice barely rose above the crackling flames. "But I will not endanger your home." She stood as if ready to leave despite the storm raging outside. Ethan stepped forward, blocking her path. "No one's throwing you out into that blizzard," he said gruffly. "I'm just trying to understand what trouble might follow you." "Here," Nayeli looked at him then, really looked, and Ethan felt something shift inside him, something he had long buried. "You're a good man," she said, "but goodness doesn't always keep danger away." Ethan couldn't explain why he trusted her, only that his instincts weren't warning him, they were stirring. The storm intensified through the night, snow piling high against the windows, yet the ranch felt strangely warmer with Nayeli there. As the fire cast soft shadows, Ethan realized that for the first time in years, he wasn't dreading Christmas morning. Still, he had no idea how drastically his life was about to change, or that the danger Nayeli feared was already drawing closer through the snow-covered trees. And so Christmas Eve continued, fragile as a candle flame, with a mysterious woman under his roof, and a sense of fate quietly falling with every drifting snowflake. Christmas morning arrived with a sky as white as bone, the storm having settled, into a deceptive quiet that blanketed the world in a fragile calm. Ethan stoked the fire while Mary excitedly handed Nayeli a small wooden carving she had made, a simple heart. The Apache woman accepted it with soft gratitude, her guarded expression melting for a moment into something almost tender. But beneath her calm exterior, Ethan noticed something else, her eyes constantly shifting toward the window, her body coiled with tension. "You expecting someone?" he finally asked, setting down the kettle. Nayeli didn't answer at first, her throat tightening around words she had tried to bury. At last she whispered, "2 men have been following me for days. Dangerous men. They took something from my people and blamed me for what was lost. They want silence, not justice." Ethan's jaw clenched. "And you came here?" "I had nowhere else to go," she admitted. "I hoped the storm would hide my tracks, but I fear it wasn't enough." Before Ethan could respond, the faint but unmistakable crunch of snow echoed outside. Nayeli's eyes widened. Mary froze mid-breath. Ethan moved to the window and saw 2 figures on horseback, approaching through the pines armed, scanning the ranch like wolves circling prey. Without hesitation, Ethan turned to Mary. "Go to your room and stay there. Don't come out until I say so." His daughter nodded, though fear trembled in her eyes. Nayeli stood, every muscle tightened like a bowstring. "They won't leave without me," she whispered. "They're dangerous." Ethan's voice hardened. "So am I." He stepped outside, coat whipping in the icy breeze, his hand resting near his sidearm. The men halted several yards away, cold smiles slicing through their unshaven faces. "We're looking for an Apache woman," the taller one drawled. "Came this way last night." Ethan didn't flinch. "Ain't seen anyone." The man's eyes flicked toward the cabin. "Funny, tracks say otherwise." The rancher stepped forward, his tone dropping into steel. "You're trespassing. State your business or be gone." The shorter man sneered. "Our business is none of yours." His hand drifted toward his gun, and in that single instant, Nayeli burst from the cabin, placing herself between Ethan and the strangers. "I won't let you harm them," she shouted. Ethan's pulse spiked with rage and fear as the taller man laughed coldly. "You think you're protecting them? They'll die because of you." The moment stretched, silent and brittle, then snapped when the shorter man drew his revolver. A gunshot rang out, echoing across the valley, but it wasn't his. Ethan's hand was faster. The man collapsed into the snow with a choked gasp. The taller man's face twisted with fury, and he reached for his weapon. But Nayeli was already moving, grabbing a discarded rifle from the porch. She didn't hesitate. She didn't miss. The man toppled backward, snow spraying around him like shattered glass. Silence returned as quickly as the violence had come. Snowflakes drifted down, soft and indifferent, settling on still bodies. Nayeli stood shaking, not from cold but from the weight of what she had fought her whole life to escape. Ethan stepped toward her and gently took the rifle from her trembling hands. "It's over," he murmured. "You're safe now." Nayeli's breath broke. "You shouldn't have risked your life for me." Ethan's gaze softened, a quiet truth rising inside him. "You showed up at my door on Christmas Eve. Maybe that wasn't an accident." Mary cautiously emerged from the cabin and ran straight into Ethan's arms before turning to hug Nayeli, clinging to her as if she belonged there. Nayeli froze for a moment, then slowly wrapped her arms around the girl. Ethan watched the 2 of them, one a survivor of grief, the other a survivor of pursuit, and felt something. New spark inside his chest. Hope. Later, as the sun dipped behind silver clouds, Ethan invited Nayeli to stay, not for a night, not for safety, but for as long as she wished. She hesitated, tears gathering like tiny stars in her dark eyes. "Are you sure?" Ethan nodded. "This ranch has been too quiet for too long, and you've brought life back into it." Mary beamed, hugging Nayeli's hand. And for the first time in years, Ethan felt Christmas meant something again. Nayeli looked at the ranch, the mountains, the girl, then finally at Ethan, and she understood she had found not just shelter, but a place where her spirit could rest. "Then I will stay," she whispered. Snow fell softly as though blessing the moment, sealing their fates together.